Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. We're starting a new series this season, and it's going to be called the Urban Weekend Cutter and Roper. And it's patterned after what RFD TV is showing, and has been for several months, a show called Weekend Cutter, all about how people enjoy to do cattle work and go from one place to another. They're not necessarily professionals, but they're teaching their horses how to follow a moving object using simulators and using real cattle. Well, here at Shadrack Farms in Santa Cruz, California, we do the same thing and have been for years. So I'm going to show you what tools we've built here economically, and then we're going to show you how our horses are performing with those tools. And as the end of this introduction, we're going to show you our miniature cattle, which we also use for doing cow work with real live cows, although little ones, no taller than 42 inches at the hump. They're Brahma-like cattle. They're called miniature zebus. This is a cable cutting machine, I call it, that we made with a very old exercycle that has a rubber wheel, and we cut out the wheel. We have a place for the rope to run on the wheel. Somebody makes the wheel move by using the pedals. And we use something as little as this as the moving object. We put it on the cable, just like this. We drop the cable down, which we keep it stored because my cattle run around here. We do everything multi-purpose here. And we have the horses in the arena with the fence in between. We move this moving object, and the horses can see it, and they understand what their job is to follow it with varying degrees of precision, depending upon how well we've trained them and how much training they have had. We keep things up out of the way, as I said, because this area is also grazed. Almost every square inch at Shadrack Farms is a grazing area, other than where we have structures. We really believe in natural livestock care here. So I keep this little doll here under this seat. I keep the seat covered so that the sun and the rain don't ruin the seat and the doll. And when we're ready to go, we fire it up. Okay, you can turn it off for now. Our sprinklers just came on. Well, we're in my arena now. Not a real big arena, but we even have it cut in half. And we did it in such a way that it's easy to open it up. We have it on wheels. These are the portable panels linked together, and we can move the whole triplet of panels on both sides up against the side of the white vinyl fence, which is the perimeter of the arena, if we want to use the whole arena. Now, why do we have this lattice here? Well, we have one particularly very active, very fun cow to work with. Her name is Sela, my youngest heifer, and she's extremely fast moving, but I was worried that she would try to get away from us when we were working with her on this side of the arena through the panels and hurt her legs. So we added this lattice right here between the bottom and the middle rail, and it worked perfectly. She's never tried to go through. Now I'm going to close it back up, because in the mornings when we groom our 3 Morgan horses and turn them out, we like to bring them into this small half of the arena, and we lunge a couple times in each direction, ask them to go over a jump, which we have set up here, and make sure that it's not for exercise, mostly just to make sure that none of them have sore legs or hooves. Now in that corner, and I'm not going there now because our irrigation is on, and by the way, the reason the irrigation is on in the middle of January is because we're kind of having a drought winter. We haven't had much rain at all this winter, and I don't want my pasture grass to die, so we turn the irrigation back on. Well, in that corner, we have some portable panels parked up against the perimeter vinyl fence. We just bring them out and make a little pen. We have a grand time here, especially with Semi, my best cow horse, and Sadie, my best turnback horse, working our cows here in this half arena and trying to pen them into that corner. Then when we're done, we put the panels back against the perimeter fence, and we've got the arena without the panels. So again, this is a way that we've made do in an urban setting, doing the kinds of things we love to do, would love to do on a big ranch, but we don't have a big ranch here. We have only 7 acres. So we're showing you one step at a time how we're getting ourselves ready over and over and over again to make our horses cow horses, even though we live on the border of the city of Santa Cruz. Now over on that fence is a shorter cable cow run. And we're going to turn off the camera right now, walk over there. I'm going to show you what the difference is between the long run along the length of the arena and the short run along the width of the arena. Here we are at the short run that we have of a cable cutting machine. All the cables, the rope, a fence enclosing it so we don't have to worry about our horses or our cows getting hung up in these cables and ropes. And we have on order at eBay a unicycle. I was not able to find an exercycle anymore that has a front rubber wheel like the one I use on the length of the arena. So we've ordered a unicycle, and it's going to have a single wheel with some pedals already attached to it. We're going to somehow mount it here. And when we're working with young horses or we don't want to pick up speed, we're going to work with the short cable cow. Otherwise, for canter, we have the long cable cow, or for fast trot. And there's a lot to learn here on just straight runs with a moving object. And we have actually, for this cable cow machine, we have a cow-like thing that is hooked onto 1, 2, 3 cables, and then the head is hooked onto the rope which goes through the wheel, and the cow is bigger and bends, and that helps to give the horses the idea that they're going to someday be moving with a live 4-legged bovine. A quick look at our motor cow, and I hope you'll tune in and watch us actually work with it or look at some of my past shows. This is just something I bought over the internet. It's a stuffed bovine looking toy, and it hangs with ropes and cables that are up at the ceiling. So we don't have to enclose it with a fence. We don't have to worry about our animals getting hung up in it when we're not using it as a cow simulator. We have some controls here. So you do need somebody to control it. It's not done with anything on the wrist or any remote object that will move this toy along the wall and back. And the toggle switch allows you to go back and forth, long runs, short runs, and the sizes of the hardware up here allows you to decide to make it a faster moving object or a slower moving object. We have a lot of good productive training time in here, especially when it does rain, because this is a covered square pen. And you say, well, what about all of these portable panels? Well, the reason they're in here is because this covered square pen serves, especially in the wintertime, as a place for my horses to come in and be close to each other and be cozy. It is an insulated structure, and we want to double up again on our structures. So we use it as a training area and as a cozy barn for my horses. When we use it as a training area, these are all portable panels that swivel. We just push them out of the way, and the horses have a moving object to follow along this wall. We even have a camera loft in here so that we, from an upper level, can video the work that we do with what we call our motor cow. Here I am in my garage, and I have some trickle chargers here on my various electrical vehicles that help me to give my horses roping practice. And Firecrest Easter Eve, she's my largest Morgan, my strongest one, and she's the one I usually use for roping. Now this is an old garden piece of equipment that I wasn't using anymore. It was a lawn sweeper. It wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, so instead I put some roping horns on it with some hardware, and it has a hitch so that it can be connected to this kids ATV, which is a four-wheeled, battery operated, as long as you keep the battery charged, vehicle that will pull this roping machine, as I call it, down our driveways. And all our driveways are sanded and good rain or shine in any season, and we do some straight runs so that I can practice roping and rating. Rating is extremely important. These go at different speeds, and my rope horse has to learn to rate the moving object just like they have to learn to rate a cow when they're roping. Now this is just an electric bike that we didn't use anymore here in Santa Cruz, and I just made sure that I kept it alive, keep it charged up. We keep it here under cover when we're not using it, and very easily take it out to our driveway. Can you show this track? This, for example, we call the east-west track. And then we can rope around our chicken pen area too. It's a big oval. Or we can go by the square pen, which has a similar sand-covered driveway that gives us a wonderful place within the acreage that I have here. So there are fences. Perimeter fences gives us a wonderful place to practice roping with our simulated roping machines. And now we're going to turn off the camera. We're going to go to one more shed, and then we're going to give you the chance to see our darling little mini cows. I'm in my cart shed. I have a cart for my cows, my mini cows. I have a jog cart for my horses. I have all kinds of tools here to train my horses and my cows to pull. And right here is a stone boat that we built here. It slides along the ground, whether it be a turf ground or my sanded ground. And on the back of my stone boat, well, it's actually, yeah, it's the back end of my stone boat. The cows can pull the stone boat, and I can be on a horse behind it at the speed that a cow can pull, and actually practice roping these horns, which we've added to the top of the stone boat. Just a piece of metal bent in the shape of horns. And of course this goes slower than any of the vehicles, but that's okay. You can learn a lot. You can teach your horse a lot by going slow. And they have to understand that going slow is sometimes the right answer. And so we use the stone boat and my cows to pull it to give me the opportunity, or my associates, to practice roping with our stone boat. Then the next thing we're going to show you, but on the way we're going to show you one other thing. Next thing we're going to show you actually is my darling cows. But look what we have here at Shadrack Farms, and we've got many a program about it. We use it all the time with both the horses and the cows. This is my obstacles area, which I keep set up here at all times. All kinds of obstacles to help the horses learn not to be afraid, to help them learn to be flexible, to help them learn to back. We even have a teeter-totter, and I'm pointing to it there, to help them learn to accept the fact that things move sometimes when they don't expect it to move. We're constantly doing shows about obstacles training, and let's face it, all of these mechanical equipment that I'm using for moving objects at first have to be considered obstacles. So we have to desensitize the horses to them or sack them out to the obstacles And then we have to teach them what is the thing that we want them to do with the obstacles. So we sensitize them to allow us to use those obstacles as training devices. And now the end of this introduction is we're going to try to find my 3 cows. I have 2 heifers and the Papa bull, and we'll show them to you when we find them because they wander around here too and get to graze. Well, here's Papa Rusty. He's my bull. I did give him a vasectomy with the help of my vet about a year ago because I didn't want him to impregnate Sela, who is the daughter to Susie. Susie's straight ahead grazing. The bull Rusty is resting. And Sela, who has become quite an independent little girl, is also grazing nearby. Now Angela's going to take the camera southward towards the fence, and you'll see how the cows get to enjoy life here at Shadrack Farms and browse and graze and wander. I'm heading towards Sela. And she's right in there. It's a little inner corral that we use if we want to keep 2 of the cows away from the 3rd one if we're working with them. She's grazing as well. And straight ahead, probably nobody else in the world has started such a pattern, but straight ahead is my spa in that latticed enclosure. And every day, weather permitting, I go into that spa, and my cows who graze around here love it because I always have a handful of carrots, and I give them a treat. They come right up to the lip of the spa, and it is the highlight of my day. So that's the way we do things here at this urban weekend cutter and roper Shadrack Farms and Ranch. And I hope you'll tune in for the rest of the shows in the season where we actually use all of this equipment to refresh with some of the horses that are really good at it already, or to teach the horses that aren't too good at it yet. And after we're sure that the horses know how to work over their haunches and can rate a cow, well, we bring in the cows to the arena, which is straight ahead. We started this introduction there through that open gate. We just herd the cows into the arena, and we get to work them in an arena, or we get to work them out here on the turf in a natural setting, including the corral behind us. And so we're going to finish this introduction by showing you our pastures that we use year-round for our cows and our horses. And we love our life here at Shadrack Farms. We hope that if you have any questions, you'll email me at info@urbancowgirlchannel.com. A quick review of the tack we're going to use for our cow work, our weekend cutter and roping practices. We're going to use Bozels. We have 3 Bozels. The one to the right of your screen is a pencil Bozell, a little bit more severe than the other 2, which have thicker nose bands. We're going to use for roping a Circle Y saddle that has a horn, which is already wrapped with rubber, so that if we want to dally, we are able to dally without the rope slipping on the horn. For cutting, we're going to use our reining saddle. It is a much lighter weight saddle, and it does not have a horn that's adequate for a dally, but it's comfortable. It has a front that helps keep you in the saddle, a high front. We're going to try to stay away from bits in the mouth because we're going to do most of our requests with our body language and our legs. One more thing. What do you do when you want to get the horse's attention? Well, you use spurs. And here are several sets of spurs ready to go to fit any boot that we might be wearing. And we just tickle with them. We make sure our toe is out when we try to touch with them so that the message is clear. Well, here's our rope for training purposes. It has not only a regular Honda, but a breakaway Honda. Let me pull that out of the rope and show you what I mean. There's a slit at the end of this vinyl Honda, and if you use your rope with a breakaway Honda, whatever you're catching and pulling with your dolly, it will break away. So you don't have to have somebody take it off the horns or get out of your saddle to take it off the horns if your objective is not to pull the steer or the heifer or the bull around. So this is a regular 30-foot lariat, maybe 32 foot. I also have a ranch rope that's closer to 50 foot, which is much more useful if you're really at a ranch where you're working with catching cows with your rope for doctoring and so forth. So now you've seen the tools and the tack, and soon I hope you'll see the action and the training. As a finish to our introductory video, part 1 of the Weekend Cutter and Roper, we've got Semi saddled up in our reining cutting saddle. It's got a nice horn to hang on to. It's not a heavy duty saddle, neither is it rubber wrapped for roping. It's just a comfortable saddle to sit in. And we're just walking Semi around here with an attempt to show you and to evaluate ourselves how good she's gonna be one-handed. That's a experience in itself, teaching a horse how to be one-handed. So we watched together, Katie and I did, a Chris Cox show this morning on RFD TV that was all about training a horse to be one-handed. And we've got a bunch of principles here to follow. And Katie's trying to apply them right now. We don't have mics on, so I'm just gonna watch how Semi's doing, because we haven't been using Semi. We've been working mostly on harness work, and Semi's my best cow horse. So we're going to be working on cow horse exercises and using all of our mechanical cow simulators. But first we got to make sure that she will ride one-handed. Eventually, maybe even with these gorgeous leather Rommel reins, which is not only one-handed, but you can't even use your fingers to control them, not in competition. And we're going to put on her either this pencil Boselle or one similar that's thicker. The thinner, the more severe. So we'll start with this and make sure that she understands what we're asking her to do, and then maybe put the thicker Boselle on her. And I have a beautiful Boselle that has horsehair Makati reins. So that's what we're showing you today. Let me review very quickly the exercises and the principles we're going to be following as you watch Semi. Respond to Katie's request one-handed. The outside rein is the pushing rein. You first want to work with the direction rein, which is the inside rein. We do have an O-ring snaffle on her mouth because right now we're trying to work with the corners of her mouth. When we have the Boselle on, there will be no corner of mouth contact. So we just want to make sure that with the O-ring snaffle control and the spurs that Katie has on, that Semi will understand what she's supposed to do when she feels the pushing rein or the neck rein on her neck, which is the outside rein. We're going to teach Semi, if she doesn't already do it, what her feet are supposed to be doing when we are using our reins. We're going to make sure she keeps her shoulders up especially when we do cow simulator work or cow work. We're going to eventually rein her and then use legs only as a backup. But right now, in our exercises, we'll be using leg to explain to her what we want and then associate it with a certain rein feeling. The hands up. Let's see how she does when Katie lifts her hands up in the box, so to speak, in front of the horn. We have a lot of occasions where we need to do that. We don't want the head to come up, which it doesn't seem to be, right? Okay, remember, Semi's had several years of training and practice, but it's been a long time, and each and every time we come out here and try something new, we realize that we didn't know something before. There's so much to know. Now, Katie can put her little pinky finger in between her double reins, and it can tell Semi a lot, at least in this training period when we aren't using the Rommel reins. So she's going to try to see how sensitive Semi is to the feel of either her index finger or her pinky finger touching the rein on either side. Then
She's responding really well.
She's responding well, and remember at some point he put the reins
Tack.
both on one side.
Tack. Tack.
You have one rein on each side.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna be going towards the objective of having both reins on one side. One of the biggest mistakes that people make when they're trying to neck rein and do cow work is they turn their wrist when they've got the reins in one hand. Very important not to turn your wrist. That changes the balance, that affects the head of the horse. So we're going to be working on not doing that. We're going to keep the wrist flat, and we're going to ask the horse to move the nose first by keeping the wrist flat. We're going to be careful not to oversteer. If you do have to go outside of your box, make sure you come back to neutral position over the neck. We're going to practice neck reining by eventually coming to this gate right here on the arena and side passing her over with rein control with only one hand. That's a great exercise, a great goal. If you can open a gate with one-handed reining, you probably have a neck rein trained horse. Subsequent parts of this series will include fundamental exercises, mechanical cow simulators, and miniature cattle. See more at www.urbancowgirlchannel.com